Okay. So Paul and I are in the P2P group with like the postgraduate program group, and together in the small homework group, and was talking about like the trip he took some years ago to Switzerland and Austria, and well, I later thought, hey, that's maybe a nice thing to have a Zoom meeting on and to look further into. So that's what brought us here. Yeah, and let, yeah, Paul. So, Paul, do you want to take over and say everything? What there's
I
to say?
I do, yes. Should I do that, William? I don't want to. I want your explicit permission. Okay, I'm gonna go for it. All right, so I'm gonna share my slideshow, and hopefully this is it here. So, so I'm going to talk to this slideshow, which really is about Eva, as we know her, Eva Pierrakos, but she was
Wasserman.
uh, also,
One, I think.
if you can go mute, that'd be great. I think there's somebody who's,
You mute them, Paul, or
yeah,
mute everybody. The
all right.
host. Inge, please.
Nee, dat vraagt niet zo. Ja.
Can you be quiet?
Okay, thank you.
It's disturbing.
Zo hoort je praten. Oh. Moet je dempen, je moet het dempen.
Sorry here. Technology. There we go. Right. So Eva was, sorry, I just want to mention, I'd run through the slideshow, probably take less than half an hour, and then we can have a discussion on any points. So please, yeah, make a note of your questions or comments. I'd love to hear them. I was certainly interested in who Eva was, where she came from, because when I started the path 30 years ago, I was attracted to the wisdom of the lectures, and then over time, I was wondering, where did these lectures come from? How did they? What was the process that Eva followed, and who was Eva? So it was quite interesting to find out who she was. I think, as many of you know, she never talked much about herself. There's very few records. She was born Eva Agath Wasserman in 1915 in Vienna. And here on this time chart is what I'll talk about today, pretty much all the events as we know them up through to 1957 when she started channeling the guide. And William's been really devoted and created a spreadsheet capturing this information and also other information. But I think it's important, especially when you don't necessarily know European history that well, or all the countries of Europe. But Eva was born at an auspicious moment. Really, she was born at the end of a grand era, and that was the last 70 years of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, when you had Franz Joseph II, who was on the throne of Austria-Hungary for 72 years, dying in 1916. So he himself did not live to see the breakup of the empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, which at that particular point was about 250 years old. But this period, just prior to Eva's birth, was a great period in Austria-Hungary. Franz Joseph, images of Franz Joseph here as a young man, getting a little older, and then as the venerable emperor in his later years. But he really ushered in what I would call, say, a grand reinvigoration of Austria-Hungary and Vienna, and that period, 1850 to 1940. in 1940, 1914, you had social and economic emancipation with the rise of wealth, and a number of sort of specific features or aspects to the empire at that point, beginning with the empress, casually known as Cece or Elizabeth. There was a great interest in spiritual phenomena, and that was one of the characteristics of the times. Another aspect was that Franz Joseph removed a lot of the restrictions on the Jewish people and other minorities. So Jewish people could own property, enter any profession, and Jewish people made a huge contribution to the time. Some of the greats, such as Sigmund Freud in psychology or Gustav Klimt in the arts, these were people that lived in Vienna at the turn of the century. When we say turn of the century, it's the previous century, the turn of the previous century. And this also is a period of architectural wonderment or building. Some of the grand, Vienna used to be a walled city, and they removed the walls, and it left about an 800-foot ring around the core of the city, and they built a lot of grand buildings. So the city that Eva grew up in was a city that had all the markings of an empire, but was no longer an empire. Interestingly enough, on Jews, Eva's family was Jewish on both sides. Her grandfather on her mother's side, Albert Speyer, was one of the people that enjoyed success because of the liberalization of laws over Jewish people. He was born in the countryside, moves to Vienna, becomes a very successful textile manufacturer, and also a commercial advisor to the emperor. So somebody who would be sought after for, the opinion on, if the emperor wanted an opinion on the economy or aspects of business. He married a woman called Nanny Wallach. They had 6 children, including Eva's mother, who's Julie Speyer. The Speyers were definitely comfortably bourgeoisie. And we know the last comments here about Eva's mother as to her character, because her future husband, Eva's father, wrote a fair bit about his ex-wife, or his wife and then ex-wife, certainly calling her romantic, poetic, imaginative, spiritual, and also calling her obstinate, unrealistic, cruel. So, as we'll see, Eva's Julie and Jacob had a fairly intense relationship in both ways, good and bad. Eva's grandfather's house is the yellow house here on the left, large by the standards of 1900, and one of the sons of Eva's grandfather, so an uncle, here's another family house, certainly again large by the standards of the day. And the Speyers also have a tombstone in one of the well-known cemeteries in Vienna, Friedhof Dobling. They have this tombstone here, the white one, and there's about eight of the family buried there, including the grandparents. Eva's mother is buried over in Basel, Switzerland, so not in the family tomb. On the father's side, the Wasserman, Jacob Wasserman, was born in Germany, 1873, and his father was a merchant, but not in any way successful the way the Speyers were successful. Jacob's mother also dies when he's 9. He subsequently gains a stepmother who's rather cruel to him. The early part of his life is marked by failure in business and failure then in the military. Like a lot of young people, he then moved to, a lot of young people are in the arts. He moved to the city, moved to Munich in 1894, and really didn't achieve any success in writing while he was there, but apparently enjoyed the bohemian existence of penniless writers, which I think is associated with playing cards and drinking. But at any rate, an uncle intervenes who lives in Vienna in 1896 and says, "Come to Vienna." And somehow or other, that just caused a huge change for him in his whole perspective. And within 5 years, he had published several novels that became quite successful. And he attracted the attention then of Julie Speyer. So Vienna served Jacob very well. And Julie and Jacob were married in 1901. Some pictures of Jacob here, since he did become quite well known as a writer. So there's some caption or drawings here of him on the left, and then a couple of other photographs. Jacob and Julie promptly had 3 children. Albert, the sibling who was most close to, or certainly later in life, Eva identified Albert as being quite close to her. So there was Albert, George, and then her sister. So I suppose they were born over 5 years, not too bad, or not too, some space between the 3. But then there was a gap of 9 years before Eva was born in 1915. And Jacob had already started a relationship with Martha Barbara Strauss before Eva was born. So at the time of when Eva was born, they actually had already begun to live apart. And Julie and Jacob divorced in 1923. Jacob married Marta, and Eva had a half-brother, Karl Ulrich Wasserman. Eva was born in this hospital, the White Building, in 1915 in the center of Vienna. It's since expanded, gaining a modern wing. So she was born in the Sanatorium Low. I'm not too sure how they pronounce that, but yeah, in Holland, in Vienna. And interestingly enough, even though they ended up splitting, Jacob and Julie split before the house was even finished, they had commissioned a house through one of the most famous architects in Vienna at the time, Oscar Strad, however that's pronounced. In 2016, when I was in Vienna, I happened to find the house. There's a lot of old trees around it, but sort of a side view. It's fairly lengthy, a big yard, and a street entrance here behind the gate. So it was a very large, comfortable bourgeois house, and that was the house that Eva lived in with her mother and sisters, because her father moved out to the countryside. But when Eva was in Vienna at school, she was living in this house with her mother. Interestingly, I went back in 2021 and the house had been sold. It was actually for sale in 2016. It had been sold and a huge addition put on it, and freshened up the old part of it. But there is still a gate, a plaque on the gate here identifying it as designed by Oscar Strand, and of course a residence of Jacob Wasserman. Although actually Jacob didn't ever spend much time there. It was Julie Julie Wasserman, who spent the time there, and the children.
Yeah. Speyer.
Spire.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Uh, the Eva's house, but childhood home was on the north end of the city, and not too far from what we know as the Vienna Woods, which run on the hills in the north end. And in those days, the forest was quite accessible. So it's definitely a beautiful area. Actually, not unlike the Phoenicia, the location of the center, although the mountains are more immediate at the center in New York City. But I'm sure it was reminiscent for her of her childhood.
Yeah.
Uh, uh,
Yeah.
I think
In New
that
York State, you mean New York State, upstate.
yes, 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 yeah, yeah. The north end of Vienna with its hills and forest is not unlike New York State, where the center was. Although the center was the hills are more immediate. It was, uh, I think one of the interesting things about Eva's childhood is the context of it. Uh, the whole disruption of the First World War. She was born during the war, and the Austro-Hungarian Empire collapsed. Vienna was very much a depressed city in the 20s, and the uh, culturally, politically, people started using the persecution of Jews as a political tool. So you had uh, the rise of anti-Semitism, the rise of Nazism. Uh, Eva was also, through her father, exposed to many of the intellectuals of the day. But I think one of the things that was striking is for intellectuals of the day was they had many questions but no answers. Uh, the other striking thing of Eva's childhood is simply the vault. When you look into the writings left and information on Jacob Wasserman, there's a lot of discord between the parents, constant fighting over uh, financial issues, the separation, divorce, blame. So that said, Eva did for years go between her house and her father's house at Altasea, which, sorry, I just go flip ahead here, and I'll go back. But Jacob was living by a lake, at the side of a lake in Altasea, probably a couple hours by train in those days. But Eva would go between the house and the countryside when she was on holiday, and then back to the city. So her childhood was certainly upper middle class or haute bourgeoisie, but also one of rancor discourse. Uh, Also of note, perhaps of no direct impact, well, of indirect impact on Eva for sure, but anti-Semitism begins even before the war with Karl Lueger, mayor of Vienna, using anti-Semitism for his own political purposes. And Adolf Hitler was a resident as a failed actor in Vienna from 1900 to 1910, very much obviously exposed to the type of uh, anti-Jewish rhetoric that Karl Lueger would have been saying. Uh, the 30s for Jews in Vienna was really very difficult time. The people, with the rise of the Nazis in Germany, the Austrians, the non-Jewish Austrians were very much sympathetic or desired to be part of the larger German empire that Hitler was then talking of, and actually becomes part of Hitler's Nazi Germany in 1938. Uh, Beginning in 1938, Jews then had to buy their way out of Austria, face arrest or then go into hiding. I thought it interesting, the naivete of Freud. In talking of the book burning by the Nazis, Freud, as I take this quote here, "What progress we are making. In the Middle Ages, they would have burned me. Now they are content burning my books." Of course, they were not content just burning Freud's books. Eva's father, incidentally, was, uh, sorry, let me hold that thought. Also of interest was right there in the center of Vienna, you had the Gestapo headquarters, so implementing Nazi policies in Austria. Eva's father, well known for 30 years, well known German writer, Jewish German writer. His books were part of the Nazi purge and were burnt in 1933. Were officially in the book burning, the symbolic book burning of any Jewish thinkers.
Can I add something to that,
Yes, yeah, sure. Go ahead, William.
But to have an idea, he sold during his life 1.5 million books, which is humongous, even and so in that age, that time. So he was a big one. He was a hotshot in a way as a writer. So I don't know your writers nowadays in the US or in the Netherlands. I'm not so much into literal, but that's a lot already in those times. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Jacob actually dies in January 1934. He was only 60, and he's buried in a Catholic cemetery right there in Altesee. So exactly what transpired and why perhaps is open to speculation. Eva was 20 by 1935. Interestingly enough, I did visit the synagogue, in the main synagogue in the center of Vienna, and there the record of Eva Wasserman with her birth, it has it written on it, left synagogue in 1931. So I don't know the story behind why the Wassermans, what that meant. Did they stop it? Had they been attending the synagogue where I don't know. But there was some type of official dissociation, such that somebody made an entry saying they had left.
Not a member of that synagogue society anymore. I think officially then written out of that. What people do from
right.
church.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
The house that Eva was living in Vienna was repossessed by the bank in 1935. So after I guess there was a mortgage on the house, it had never been paid off by Eva's father. Julie couldn't afford it on her own. So where the family, well, the older children had probably already moved, gone out on their own by that time, and Eva was just turning 20. I do know from the records that in March 1937, Julie, Eva's mother, left Austria and went to Zurich in Switzerland. So at that particular time in 1937, she would have just had to go down and get on the train and go. But of course, the next year, then Jewish people had to buy their way out of Austria.
Yeah. Things got already bad, so I think she just fled. Not just she kind of thought of, I have to get out of here because this is going the wrong way.
Yeah. Now she had become quite friendly with Armand Brock. His father was Hermann Brock, also a famous writer, Jewish writer. So, and I think in William's spreadsheet, there's some information on Herman, because Herman left probably in 1938 and ended up getting to New York City. Exactly how Eva gets out of Vienna, I don't know. William was able to uncover that between 1939 and 1941, she was definitely not, she was likely on what's called, again, I don't have the pronunciation, Hyères and its islands, which is just off the coast of France.
Well, that's definitely that's
Yeah,
not a maybe, but she was interned.
yeah. Now
Yeah.
that Hyères was, I guess,
Oh, yeah. That's
a
an island.
place.
That's a touristic island.
Yeah, and what am I trying to say here? A lot of people hid out there over the years. It wasn't, I don't think it was an official camp. It was more a place where people would go, sort of a free society. Uh,
Yeah.
uh,
It's kind
however,
of the early Riviera, the France Riviera, the early years of the Riviera,
yeah,
like the big where people with money went to on holidays, and then but he was caught up by the war then, and the Vichy regime was already ahead of the war, was already taking people into prison.
right,
Uh, and the prison, like a camp, that was the Gours camp. It's on the spreadsheet, which is left in France.
yeah,
And now there's like a membrance, what you call it, a memory plaquette, or like a big place, because there were thousands of people interned there, and
yeah,
many also went to Auschwitz later years. But she was
yeah,
able, because she was with Armand, to get out of the.
right. Yeah. Yeah. So Gurs was definitely, it's closer to the border of Spain, was an internment camp. So she was at some particular point, obviously rounded up, moved to taken to Gurs. But then through the intervention of Armin's father,
Yeah,
uh, and assistance from other Jewish people in New York City, they were able to arrange for them to get on a boat out of Lisbon in September 1941. Again, exactly how Eva goes from the southwest of France to Lisbon, I don't
yeah,
know. But of course, Spain was not officially involved in the First World War, so presumably there was free movement. If you got across the border into Spain, you could
yeah.
move through
Philip, do
the
you know how she got out of the camp?
No, it's not exactly said, but apparently, her Armand is of like we call it a noble, like a baron. So apparently, I think he got his way, he tricked his way out. That's my guess. So because and there's other people that were taken away, like with trains to Auschwitz. But I don't know. It was in the summer of 41, it says, and they left on the boat in Portugal in September 20th, and they arrived in
yeah,
New York on the 2nd of October.
yeah,
So, but no, it's not, well, you can find out, there's all records around that, but for many records around that, you have to be live in the bibliothèque, like in Frankfurt
yeah,
or other places. So that's not what I found. But so there were people around Hermann Broch, his father, like Albert Einstein, the famous Nobel Prize winning person who went to Sweden, or went to the US to visit a congress about scientific and his profession, but he stayed there because he did not dare to go back. He was living in Berlin, doing his work there, but he was not in favor of the Nazis. And so Albert Einstein was among the yeah I'm
support
lagging
group,
in
support
that
group.
support group to get people out of Europe. But
Yeah,
generally you had to have some money and to get out,
yeah.
or had to have contacts. And Armand and Eva had contacts and
Actually,
people.
Armand also, at a certain point in the late 30s, started calling himself de Rotherman, Armand Brock de Rotherman,
He
and
was.
that
He
was
was.
to
He was
pose
a
as a
noble.
Gentile. Yeah, yeah.
Is that the word, English word, gentle? As a
Gentile means no, Gentile means non-Jewish. He was not, so he was not. He started to decide, started to stress the whatever the Gentiles, the
yeah,
non-Jewish part of his identity.
yeah, and it
But
is written that he wrote to the prefect, like the boss of the district of south of France, that he was like complaining about that he was kept in the internment.
yeah,
So apparently he had some high stakes that he could just play, some cards around that.
yeah. Actually, I've got to correct this. At the bottom here, it says it was even an Arman who married.
Amon.
I got the father and the son confused for a little while. I'll change that though.
Yeah,
But
I know.
they do end up.
From what I know, at that point, the U.S. was not accepting uh, a lot of refugees.
Yeah.
So they lucked out because of his connections.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and there was a whole system in the US around like some difficult words. There are in the spreadsheet. You can read them. I get them later. Yeah,
yeah. So actually, in the spreadsheet, Williams listed a number of things that happened in the 40s, Eva and Armand marry. 4 years later, they start leading a separate life. By 1949, they're divorced. Eva, I actually had trained as a dancer back in Vienna when she was a younger girl, and
yeah,
so she started working as a dance instructor to support herself
yeah,
through the 40s. Uh, and actually, interestingly enough, that reminds me that one of the things that Eva reflected was that with respect to her dancing, her father had told her, "Well, if you're going to do something, you have to do it really well. You have to do it excellently."
be the
Uh,
best.
yeah, so which I thought interesting because this Eva eventually brings that energy to her exploration of her channeling. That if you're going to do it, you have to do it well.
Yeah.
Uh, and so
Well, and
those,
he gave her 2 years just to get to see if she really if you get her ballet career
yeah,
uh, going,
yes,
But
yeah,
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 so that was also but pretty liberal idea, I think.
yeah. So by the yeah, sort of in the later 40s, she also starts dating uh, oh, or
Prince,
Andre, who is
Prince Andrei.
who is a Russian aristocrat, and Alan Saley knows more about him. Uh, but they have an opportunity Andre has an opportunity to go to Zurich in 1950, which is where Eva's mother is, and so really life takes a turn for Eva when she goes to Zurich. And I just took some photos here. Zurich is definitely was and is a beautiful city and a beautiful setting with a lake and hills, and that's where Eva's mother had gone in 1937. Eva and Andre show up in 1950, live in some of these apartments in these old buildings in the center where you've also got a couple of canals going through the city. So those are really a lovely setting. Uh, Zurich also uh, is actually because Switzerland was never involved in the war. Uh, it was a city of refuge, and quite a lot of Jewish people survived by getting into Switzerland. And a lot of those people then were extremely interested in contacting their deceased relatives after the war. And it really was an intense interest in spirituality, the occult, and channeling and mediumship. Uh, and the city was not in economic or social disarray the way that a lot of the other European capitals were at that particular time. I do want to mention just Beatrice Brunner because she was by the time Eva's arrived, Beatrice Brunner would have been a very prominent channeler, and in fact, what's called the Zurich Spiritual Lodge still exists, and with uh, I guess a church in Vienna and a couple in Germany. Uh, but there's no indication that Eva knew, ever met Beatrice, Beatrice sort of represents the mediumship in Zurich after the war. So as sort of in what I wanted to now cover was the period 1950 between 1950 to 57, where Eva's life takes a turn. And it was really interesting for me to, in trying to understand who was Eva. There's certainly, Eva didn't have any formal education in psychology, or she wasn't, sitting at the knees of Carl Jung or anything. So uh, this, her skill, well, there's two aspects to her skill, obviously learning to channel, and then the other aspect of learning to channel was learning to unblock her own psyche by obviously looking at her own issues. So eventually as the guide points out to her, if you don't believe what I'm saying, you won't say it. So anyway, we'll cover that a bit. But it really begins in 1950, according to Eva's recollections. And in the spreadsheet, Williams noted that a lot of the information comes from her interview with Charles Rotmill in 1976. Thank God that Charles conducted that interview and recorded it. But in that summer of 1950, her first recollection is of being brought to her knees by a supernatural power. Actually, sorry, this is the second recollection. Eva did have an experience much earlier, years earlier, of being with some other young women and with a Ouija board, and the Ouija board literally jumping onto her. However that happened, but she felt that something was trying, it was like, oh, that something was trying to connect with her. As again, this experience of some supernatural power forcing her to her knees. But
That's what she says, eh? That are their own words, Eva.
Yes. So in the fall of 1950, as I previously noted, Julie, Eva's mother, who was always interested in spirituality, Eva, now in her sister's Barbara's in Zurich, her mother's in Zurich. So the mother says, let's go to an evening where there's a medium, and we'll try to talk with the spirit world. And actually, that night was transformative for Eva. She really took an interest in this, and begins reading about spirituality, mediumship, begins meditating, begins working with a teacher.
Still lightheartedly, yeah. She was not so much like really all serious on it, but okay, there's something into it,
Yeah, it's a process. I mean, she doesn't know what she's getting into. She's just sort of attracted this way and starts going with it. And summer of 51, she said that, another worldly spiritual sense, just a really strong physical sensation of something non-spiritual or something spiritual trying to connect with her. And so during that time in those 2 years in Zurich, she was also experiencing automatic writing. So she began to to work with that. So she was really beginning to learn to allow spiritual energy to work through herself. And so that starts with automatic writing. She also talks of being tested by low-grade spirits. So that process of who is communicating to me and why. And also she mentions that she has a sense of that she was told things that eventually turn out to be true. No examples given.
Yeah.
In sometime in 52, that Eva and Andre returned to New York, but actually she does note that on that aspect of things that are going to be things that might happen, or visions of things that are not present, clairaudience, that starts in Zurich in 1952, and she feels that that was a precursor of her channel. Daily review becomes very important to her.
Mm.
And when she learned she had to leave Zurich, I guess she was told, don't worry, you'll be back. So they returned to New York. Andre was always looking for work. She, in those 2 years, she really concentrates on her own inner path, learning about herself, working
Oh,
with, yes,
what's interesting that her partner, what I read is that her partner, Prince Albert, I call him, was also
okay,
very supporting to her because he was asked to more and more to really focus on this kind of development. And her partner was like first had a job in Switzerland, but that job ended. So he was an American person, so he had to go back to because his job finished and he could not find other work in Switzerland. So he had to go back to America, and the message was to Eva, "Don't worry, you'll be back in some time again." You know,
yes,
uh, so yeah, this Prince Albert was also really supporting. They were really a couple together. There's not much told about, but I guess yeah, wow, you going back and forth
yeah,
together in
yeah.
Switzerland, together back, and yeah, that's all really also really
And he was married to another woman, so he couldn't marry again. He was already married.
apparently. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, but actually, Eva talks of working with a female friend on father issues, and both of them, and uh, yeah. So doing that interior work, uh, that's part of her period, 1952 to 54, while they were in New York City. Uh, I think they returned to Zurich, and they're there again for 2 years between 54 and 56. And Eva never gives any names. She just said, "No, I'm guided to another woman who is a medium."
Yeah.
Uh, so she did work with the medium quite intensely, uh, beginning in that 1954-55 period. And she mentions going into a trance twice a week, and the guide would then reveal itself through automatic writing. Uh, so eventually,
Not at that time. The guy did not make himself known so much, but yes, he
but
did.
during the beginning of that period, by the end of that period, uh, what Eva had talked about, out of the different spirits that she was sensing or connecting with, there being that one true voice,
Yeah,
deeper, more authentic, more respectful, and that's the one that she kept trying to connect with and channel, and goes from, say, a channel, it goes from connecting through automatic writing to then finally in the fall of 1956, the having that, being able to let go enough that that entity would then use her voice box,
Yeah.
as they refer to it, use her voice box to talk.
Yeah.
So it's a 7-year period here. Well, I guess it was certainly 6 full years uh, of really, really developing that mediumship, working. I think some of the strong points, Eva was always working with someone else who could observe her, hold her accountable. Also, always questioning voices in her psyche and in the universal psychic realm. What is their intent? Uh, are they
Yeah.
truth-seeking, self-responsible, or is it an entity that's trying to manipulate through deception? It's really a focus on what is the quality of their energy. Uh,
Yeah.
Also, Eva became, yeah, definitely, uh, convinced or devoted to the task of channeling this entity. She really saw that as her task, and part of that task was clearing her own uh, psyche. Uh, uh,
And learning the trance, going into trance to
yes,
really connect
all
with the
those things.
deeper levels of herself, spiritual
Yeah,
self.
yeah,
And that's where the guide came through as the more and more
yeah.
clearer voice.
And of course, for the guide, Eva was of no particular importance. Pay attention to my message. But then obviously, Eva was of all importance because without Eva, the guide could not channel a message. Uh, so I think this is an important point here. Eva had to do the inner work to allow the guide to take over her voice box, learning to discern the intent and energy of each voice in her realm, in the
Yeah.
universal realm, identifying the guide and aligning through meditation with the guide. Qualities being truth seeking, tolerance, respect for the self will,
Yeah.
and doing then the work of the guide's teaching so that her unconscious will not block out. She had to believe what the guide wanted to communicate.
Yeah.
And probably won't dwell on this. I had sort of recorded this. What is the culture? Of course, we all know from, or certainly from my background, mediumship was historically thought of as, working with the devil, uh, condemned because it's a feminine act of looking inward and handing over control, but really also abused for people looking for monetary gain or power over others. But of course, the great disappointment for a lot of people that are looking for mediumship as some type of shortcut is that the most profound spiritual message has no immediate mercenary value. Human, which is what we learn in the path is that uh, you have free will and you have to work at creating a good life or good benefits if that's what you want here in this realm.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I say, feed your soul with acts of love and care. I had this a slide here on my motivation really in wanting to know about Eva's history was basically understanding how am I similar to her and how am I different? And yeah, and I think all of us here in the pathwork are finding our own channel, whether it's not necessarily specific communication with an entity, but it's definitely communication into our own real self and where we connect with the universal truths of the spiritual realm. So that I think will you want me to leave this up, William, or we can have a talk to
Yeah. Well, maybe. Yeah,
stop
maybe.
share, but we
Yeah.
can.
Yeah. So that was the original idea to have it until 1957
Yes.
presentation. And well, there's this in the chat. I think you can all access the spreadsheet link and open it. But I don't know if you have two screens, but that's also just about what Paul told. There's more lines to it, like yeah, the other lines to it. That's nice to study later. Some people already did see it, but yeah, and it's in all languages, like a lot of languages. So
Yeah.
even Brazilian language. Yeah.
Yeah. I think not to put Alan on the spot, but Alan's also developing a lot of material. So eventually we'll bring all this material together and people will be able to know,
Yeah.
go to one central archive to know about history, Eva's history.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
Yes, I have a lot of very interesting materials which were passed along by Magdalene Pierrakos, who inherited everything from John, who died in 2000. And we were able to make a deal for all the documents and memorabilia that she had from Eva, including things like this is this book, if you could see it. It's by Jakob Wasserman. It's called Briefe an seine Braut und Gattin Julie, Letters to My Bride and Fiancée Julie, which of course is Eva's mother. Here there's a dedication to Eva from her mother in the flyleaf of the book.
mm,
To our beloved daughter Eva, your father's pride, I think it says in German. Make sure that something about you, maintain your strength as you go on may your path in life become even stronger. In love and truth, Mama.
and what year was that, Alan? You think?
1940, Basel, 1940.
What 40?
Right, 1940, 40.
Yeah.
So obviously this is after Jakob Wasserman died a few years, 6 years before. But and there are other documents here, letters or books by her father and her father-in-law, Jakob Wasserman and Herman Brock, some of them with dedications to Eva. So this is a very interesting material that I'm also going to be archiving and scanning for the foundation.
Okay. Yeah. And do you or does anybody else have some like? Does anyone want to tell or ask something about this? Like
or if
maybe
you,
Brigitte and Martin. You're from Austria. Do you recognize the places? Brigitte and Martin. You recognize them? Yeah. Yeah.
The pronunciation could be better.
How do
Yeah.
you say strnad? When there's too many consonants, you can't
Strnad.
pronounce it in English.
Strnad.
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 It's
Yeah.
Czech.
And it's Altaussee. It's not Altaussee, it's Altaussee. It's in Styria.
It's a nice place.
Nice place. Very nice place.
Yes. Yes. Beautiful. Yeah, the beauty of the places in Vienna and Alsace or where Eva grew up is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know if anybody has any personal memories or questions or other things they think are important to for this.
Well, yeah,
I heard. Go ahead, Wes.
So this was through the grapevine, but I heard that when she first got visited by I think automatic writing or a feeling that she had a task having to do with channeling, that she didn't want it. She was like a party girl, not interested, get away from me kind of thing. I have no idea if that's true, but I think, and then when she visited the medium and with her mom, I think that's when she began to take it seriously. But prior to that, she was visited any number of times. This is absolutely grapevine stuff. But she didn't want it.
Yeah.
And then she came around.
That might have been, I mean, part of that period might have been, or one of the incidents in that period might have been the Ouija board incident where
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, Paul, there was actually the table that levitated in that incident. She talks
right.
about the table itself rose up, and none of the girls did it, and it just was like something was going on there.
Yeah. And that was
it's in an interview with Charles. And there's also a couple other recollections that interviews with Eva that you guys haven't seen that I do have, and I am digitizing those audio tapes.
Okay. Yeah. And it's so interesting, but that levitation of the table, I think that was in France, southern France, because he says that in the booklet for Eva, that interview with Meles, what's his name? Charles Rotmill? No, Charles Rotmill.
Yeah.
So he talks about that, and that's put in the booklet for Eva. You can see it in the spreadsheet, mentioned a lot, and you have, Paul, have taken a lot of information of that booklet too,
Right.
Which can be downloaded both from the Pathwork Foundation website. It's already available. And there's a lot of nice information. I put a lot of that into the spreadsheet. Like another things, a lot of other things. Yeah. It's so interesting to me that like how normal she was during her years from the 1957 until 1979. I mean, of course, she was special in a way because she was the guide, channeling the guide. But there was no recognition. There's not a lot of known about her her life before 57. That she was in the like she has been interned. She was already always with the high class society people, and with her famous father. That's. I mean, I would, what we call in the Netherlands, walk beside my shoes. Just try to be normal, and she did. She just was so devoted to her work, her inner work, and to do that work with people. It's so amazing. But because there's in the spreadsheet you can read a lot of interesting information around that. And I tried so much as possible to get sources, information that is available from other, everywhere on the internet that can be found. And one of the remarkable things is that after she arrived in America, after she fled from Portugal with a boat, she went to see Albert Einstein to help them, because her father was already helped by Albert Einstein 2 years earlier, and now she was there too. So there were people just coming from Europe, and so she was helped by Albert Einstein, and apparently at Princeton or the university where Albert Einstein was working. So there was a whole society. Of course, he's known about this. What you call it in English, like the American, this profession of Albert Einstein, but privately he was doing a lot of other things, good things for people, and he was really anti the war and anti the Nazism. So he helped a lot of people to come over. Yeah, that's very special. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Well, if we don't have further comments or.
Yeah, it's 9:15 already, yeah?
Yeah, give
3:15.
Thank you very much for this. Very
Yeah,
interesting.
thank you.
Thank you so
so
much.
much. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Albert Einstein has a quotation that says, "Everything is energy. That's all there is to it."
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you can't help but get that reality.
Wow.
Wow.
This is not physics.
Yeah. And to talk about that, also her
It's not
father.
philosophy. This is physics, he says.
Yeah. That's so. Yeah, it did not kind of come out of the blue air because he was already in that circle of people that were
Yeah.
thinking and feeling around about that. And one of the other things that I want to say, now I forgot. Oh,
He's standing on a boat. He's standing on a boat with a pipe in his mouth. You can find it on the internet. The quotation is wonderful.
oh yeah, what I wanted to
Thank
tell.
you so much for
Thank
this.
you.
Really
Yeah.
good, Paul
Thank you,
and
Christina.
William.
Thank you, Christina.
Yeah.
The father, if I may tell, sorry, Dana, what do you want to tell?
No,
Dana?
I was just going to say goodbye, but I want to
Okay.
hear what you have to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, the father of
Armand.
Eva was already Jacob was already his many of these topics of his book were already also about identity and about society and psychology, like also in the line of what later was Eva was doing. So that's remarkable. I did not make a kind of study on that, but that astounded me. That was remarkable. So yeah. That's it. Okay.
Is this a place for personal memories, or don't want to go there?
You were around earlier, Wes?
Well, I went to lectures. I went to started going to lecture on Springsteen around lecture 201, 202. But anyway, I remember this little story that Lenny Holmes told me. Lenny was sitting. Is this a place where I should share this, or?
Please share it,
Yes,
Wes.
yes,
Eh?
Please.
yes.
Lenny Holmes was sitting right in front of me, and he told me this later. He said that he was having a rough time. It was just before the lecture started. He was up there. He was.
Can you come to the front? I don't hear you so much. Can you come?
Sorry. Lenny was sitting right in front of me.
Could you talk a little bit slower? You are talking very quickly for
I
us
am. Okay.
non-native English speakers. Thank you.
I'll talk slower. So Lenny Holmes was sitting right in front of me at a lecture on Spring Street. And just, what's that?
Oh, can you shut up, everybody?
It's not.
It's
You want to talk slower?
Marieke Vos. Can you mute her, Paul?
I'm trying to find her on the screen.
Oh, hi, I'm right here.
Marijke.
So anyway, it was just before the lecture started, and Eva was up front, and John was sitting beside her, and she was just about to go into trance. And Lenny Holmes was sitting right in front of me. He said he was struggling with his feelings about Eva, whether he liked her or not, that sort of thing, and his lower self, etc. And he went through a little prayer, he said, and to kind of like say, okay, Eva, I love you. And Eva goes, hi, Lenny.
Yeah. I'd like to say something, two things. One, I remember Bill Solomon. We were in one of the meetings, and someone said, "Is the guide here yet?" And Bill said, "No." And they said, "How do you know?" And he said, "I'm still awake." I used to fall asleep. It was so soothing, and there was something that I couldn't stay awake. And as soon as he came out of the trance, I was wide awake. And I just had to, trust that the information was coming in at a different way than if I had been trying to listen.
Wow.
But I think a lot of people had that. And also, Eleni Milonas had to leave because she had a medical appointment that she couldn't change. And she asked me to read this text to you. I'm so sorry I had to leave. I should have canceled the medical procedure. Please relay to the group that I had the great honor to be asked by Eva to edit the lectures when I was still new to the path. Hearing Eva's story brings me back to areas I have been cut off from. I'm very moved. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great.
There's people from in first hand. That's that's great.
Yeah. And I feel in my life right now, a lot of changes are happening, and I've been paying a lot more attention to the lectures, and I'm very grateful for this particular Zoom meeting. Thank you so much. And also, yesterday I discovered a box that has cassettes in it of 2 lectures or 2 sessions I had with the guide when I was young, and about 15 tapes that I taped during lectures when I was holding my little cassette player. I have no idea what the quality is, but I'm going to listen to them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
and I think listening to
Marianne, I'd love to get copies of those, or maybe grab them and I can digitize them for you.
yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to digitize. Let's talk.
Yeah, let's talk.
Okay. Yes, I was going to call you right after this meeting anyway. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we are it would take a little while, but we are trying to create an online archive of memorabilia. So actually, I'd love to put the word out there to people who, from the earlier times, if they have photographs or other types of records that they'd like to have in our permanent archive, we'd love to have them. And it's always
I have a lot of photographs, and I don't know. I have the negatives, and there's a set of contact sheets that, Alan, do you have them? Do you have the book of contact?
Yes, I do have that. Yes.
Okay, I've got the negatives, so I need to make sure the negatives go permanently somewhere that is in the archive.
Okay, yeah, I do have the book of contact sheets.
Great. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. It's always inspiring to know that people struggled as much as we struggle today. They struggled before, but it's that struggle that helps evolve, helps us all evolve.
Yeah, super. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So, are we is there time
Anything
for
else?
closing?
Anybody else want to say something? All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. It was really great.
Thank you,
Great to be
everybody.
here.
Really appreciate this.
Love you. Bye.
We just one note. We recorded it, so we will put it somewhere left or right online, and you can see it and try also for other languages, for Polish or Brazilian to do the translating subtitling. So also forward that information.
All right.
William, dankjewel.
Thank you.
Dankjewel.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Mhm.